Hey, yo, what it is, y'all? Let's get right into it. It's been about a week since the season started, and I think it's a good time to talk about making money, whether that be you getting caught up to speed because you started late or you just had a bit of a slow start or you're not as fast of a progressor, or if you are in profound 3D space and just kind of looking for something to do to make you some money to really get over those humps as you start to really push out these bigger and bigger upgrades. Trust me, I've been there. The grind gets very painful, right? So I wanted to give a couple ideas on things that you can do at different levels in the game to, run the numbers up. Let's get into it. We're going to start with Profound in D Space, and it is mostly because that is the area that I've been playing in for the past 4 days. And as such, I have the most, I would say, like accurate information for it instead of just kind of extrapolating based on my knowledge of the mechanics and what I've seen. So, what I'm currently doing is primarily the frozen canvas. Um, it just is money, right? You need exclusive supports, it prints those. It also prints a lot, and I do mean a lot of fluorescent memories. One of if you remember the change at the start of the patch where they kind of just came through and axed out fluorescent memories like crazy. Turns out that was only really a Netherrealm content, and the content out of the Netherrealm that does drop cards, it still drops cards a lot. And so Frozen Canvas still drops a lot of those, which means I'm getting a lot of sets of terrible price and uh, Lost Secrets, Hundredfold Windfall. Like I'm actually getting complete sets of those pretty frequently as a reasonable way to like supplement my FE. And so the supports plus that, plus just the raw FE drops I get all the time, work really well together. And then add in the bonus points. Frozen Canvas is really, really cheap to run. I believe costing me like 20 FE per deep space run, even. And that might be overstating it at current. It's extremely cheap. Huge fan. If you want to learn how to run this mechanic, I recommend checking out my video from last season. The methodology that I use has not changed. And more importantly, the information that would give you now would be kind of irrelevant to you if you aren't already committed to learning Canvas. As I have some stuff now that involves like using Owl's level 3, as I did pull that the day we got our free box, right? So without like that, like I don't have any extra information to add there. Feel free to use that guide and ask any questions that you need, on stream, in the comments in my Discord, wherever it may be, right? Also, one more thing about the canvas that's important to note. The canvas marks difficulties based on like Netherrealm tiers. It is worth noting that the damage check, in my experience, has been lower than what you would expect them to be, but it has to do with the fact that I play primarily ranged builds, so keep that in mind. I have seen situations where people go into it too soon and fail to do enough damage to kill like the chest, for example, on a level 7 chest node. And if you can't do that, you are completely wasting your time in that difficulty in the mechanic. So keep that in mind. Outside of the frozen canvas, I also do a lot of just dream plus war with a little bit of beacon sustain stuff. And this is just my generic fast mapping setup. It's purely out can go. There's no compasses or anything. It is literally just me slamming into a map and hitting dream and leaving. Because I couldn't think of mechanics that didn't like slow my maps down more, because the primary focus of my strategy is actually just getting into the nightmare as fast as possible with the good rewards, and doing the Sandlord gameplay, because I just want to grow the city, especially as more buffs come through. At the time of recording this, there was another buff that I saw this morning to the drops of gliders, and I was already kind of liking gliders as like a simple way to make some extra money. So I want to see if the buffs, especially like level 7 and level 8, really like make gliders worth my while, because I still weave this in just to like break up the monotony of purely running canvas, and in doing so grow my city further and further, right? um Worth noting, like I said, it's purely I could go no compasses. The beacon sustain is less relevant now, but it is a good way to save yourself some extra money slash make extra money, because it does over sustain beacons very nicely. Which this is the only chart code that I will have in the description, is because I am stupid and did not save many of my codes from other strategies that I used. And this is pretty much the only mapping strategy I've used in the past 5 days, and therefore the only one that I'm comfortable giving you a direct code for, rather than generic suggestions around a code for, right? Now, it's worth noting that one, the setup that I just talked about that I've been using, it actually has been working for me since Time Mark 8. I did not try this in Time Mark 7 personally. I felt that the dream was just way too weak. in 7. It felt started to feel a lot better in 8 at least, but it did not feel good in 7. So you can do this pretty early on, right? Just get used to get yourself some money up. Especially the biggest sustain part. Uh, Having to pay less for your beacons feels a lot better the lower in tier you are, because you're not making as much money relative to the cost of a beacon. That's something that's really important to keep in mind. Now, other strategies that do work as well, these actually also range down from Profound all the way down to time Mark 7 even. Arcana is probably the biggest one worth talking about right now. Arcana is ridiculous. There's all sorts of clips and screenshots going around of people hitting insane hits, because Kismets actually have a real drop rate this season compared to last season. The compass for it is extremely strong. The trump card Arcana compass. The tree for Arcana is really strong. Jesters is obviously also strong, but you do not need Jesters to get good value out of Arcana. It's just, of course, as always, doubling loot. Sometimes it's doubling loot, and you end up hitting a double on something really big every so often that just looks ridiculous. But the actual core of Arcana gameplay is just really good. It's, run fast maps as fast as they can be. You have to stop at the cards anyways, and blow down the actual track. Check out Don's video if you want to learn more about how to actually set up the farm. He had a video he put out about his specific setup this season. Outside of that, there's also Black Sail is another really high recommendation for me. And it's just mostly now because they actually fixed the bug where in Profounds, Dark Sail or Black Sail was a deep space level boss as opposed to a Time Mark 8 or Profound level. So you were just you were slugging it out against her. And if you don't have to slug it out against her, I think it's actually extremely competitive, because scraps and threats never really take a long time to go out of style. The ability to reliably print Void Sea Cravings, or the ability to reliably print more memories or more threads, all very valuable. Bonus points if you have the pet, because the pet really lines up well with the reworked version of Black Sail. Shout out to the Void chart change, by the way, that they made, giving us the ability to focus on which whispers we want, right? Whispers of Wonder versus Whispers of Wealth versus Whispers of Armaments. But you want to have that extra level of focus fire in the farm for Black Sail has really kept it competitive long term. Huge fan. And Black Sail and Arcana, both of these two mechanics are extremely potent, even if you go down to Time Mark 7 even. And honestly, I would argue that Black Sail especially is even better in Time Mark 7 than it is in Time Mark 8 or Deep Profound, literally just because your character likely needs those resources to progress. And so you get to double dip a little bit there. Although threads that are orange drop in 8, so it's probably better in 8, but 7 helps to get you out of a wall, right? Now, a couple other mechanics to keep your eye on. I have not heard remarkably positive or negative things about Cube, but Cube seems like it's doing well. I think you just kind of have to get used to the fact that it is mostly nickel and dimey, where you get consistent money out of things like the Divinity Stone shop, thanks to the quote unquote equivalent of Tujin, if you're familiar with PLA1, right? At the Wanderer. And sometimes you'll hit some really big slates. You'll hit a lot of medium slates, right? And you'll just sell out the medium slates and use those to make money until you hit that one big corner that you double greed, and then it's boom, the big hit, right? Cube, very strong, very point greedy, but very strong. Especially now that divinity packs are dropping out of it, more corners are dropping. I think it's overall just a good experience. Functions very well in all time marks. My only recommendation for doing Cube is make sure you can actually kill judges. Otherwise, you'll be in there forever, right? Uh, Alongside that suggestion is boss killing, just as things that are not frequently talked about, but should definitely be noted. The first floor of Lawbreaker, first floor of the Void Sea boss, and the first and Traveler are all actual options to farm. Note, Traveler, only do this one really if you have Kong IMO. I feel like if you don't have Kong, it's not super worth it. It's still, you can still get good value, but I would be remiss in not telling you that it's a little bit more of a Kong farm than it is anything else, and I don't want to mislead you there, right? It, your value comes in the cards, is what it is. But there are bosses that don't, like the Cube boss, like Void Sea boss. Watcher farming, like boss rushing and farming your watchers, also a way to get you some money there. All of these are valuable options to generate a little bit of extra currency, right? And that's really all you need, right? It's really just about getting you out of a hole. All right, quick recap before we get out of here, right? If you're struggling right now, you're still in time mark 8, for example, or maybe even time mark 7, and you need some money, highly recommend Black Sale. I can pretty decently recommend Keep if your build is strong enough for it. Boss rushing is also always just a generally decent option if you want to like farm the Watchers. Arcana is definitely a good gamble if you feel like gambling. But again, I would probably stick towards Black Sale, most consistent, most reliable value that you're going to get at that level. And maybe some beacon printing. Then if you're pushing up and you're like trying to break in, you're in profounds, I think there's a lot of strategies that you can look at, including my dream strategy, or copy Don's Arcana strategy. Something I did not mention earlier, but I'm going to mention in this quick recap is that for these strategies, do not be afraid to put in investment, right? Like, you invest in your maps so that your maps will invest in you. Do not be afraid of the strategies that ask for higher levels of investment out of you. It's for good reason, right? Give it time for it to work. And lastly, I mean, just have some fun, right? If you have any questions about any of these, anything, feel free to drop it in the comments or, come by the stream, all that good stuff. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. If you're here because you think like you're curious about my Thea videos, by the way, I do not know for sure if I will be posting another video. I might post one more video. Now that I'm already past half a trillion DPS, and I don't know if I need to post another video or not. I might post one just to sync it up with the written guide that I'm working on. But otherwise, if you want live updates on that character, I recommend either following my profile or just coming by the stream and asking about it. All right, that's everything for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.